Okay. Ayan, no? So welcome to the first chapter, no? And this will be your first coverage for your quiz sa chapter 1. So, what to expect, no? This is a calculation intensive topic. That means you really have to solve solve problems, no? So you should know how to use your calculator very well, and you should be familiar with the rules that we will discuss na. Pero kukwentuhan naman natin, so don't worry. So yun. So our topic for today is measurement, and why is this the first topic in chemistry? No? Because if you want to understand matter, you should be able to at least measure it. No? Kailangan alam nyo kung gano'n sila karami. Because without the understanding of the quantity of matter, you cannot predict or tell their properties. No? So you really have to understand measurement first. No? So I believe you are familiar with this, as this was discussed in your junior high school and senior high school, but yeah, we're going to study it again now. Okay, so chemistry is a science that is dependent on measurements now. And to be fair, no, we know measurements naman since then, no? Even before the concept of chemistry, no, na alam natin, no? So yun. So in daily life, no, we measure a lot of stuff, no. For example, pupunta ka sa mall, ano ginagawa doon? Tututukan ka ng infrared thermometer, no, to measure your temperature. Okay, so that's one measuring device. Pwede rin kapag nagsusukat ka ng bewang mo, if you want to see if you progress sa iyong workout, no, then you use the tape measure or weighing scale, so on and so forth. No. So that means we all do measurements. No? So we should be familiar with how does a measurement look like. No? So ano ba yung itsura ng measurements? No? So basically, two parts lang yan. We have a number and the unit. No? The number tells you how many units you have. Diba? For example, we have 1 kilogram. So that means we have 1 kilo of something, 1 kilograms of something. We have 2 kilograms of something. No? So yun. Measurement is incomplete without the unit. No? Because if wala yung unit, that is just counting. No? And counting is different with measurement because of the unit. No? The unit makes sense, no? Makes the number more sensible than just a simple number. No? So binibigyan niya ng importance yung ano yung meaning ng number natin. Okay, so punta tayo sa unit. No? I'm sure you are familiar with the two systems that exist sa mundo. Ano yun? Those who use metric system and the United States, no? Which uses English system until this time. No? So I will give you some history about this. No? Ano yung kwento niyan? No? Beforehand, no? Mga panahon pa ng lumang tao, way back, I don't know, centuries ago, they don't have rulers, they don't have thermometers, so on and so forth now. But what they have is their body. For example, I'm going to measure the size of this bottle. No? Ano pwede ko gawin? Pwede ako gumawa nito. Ito. And I will call this measurement 1 dangkal. Isang dangkal. So that means my bottle is 1 dangkal. Isang dangkal. Okay, so may measurement system na to. Okay, so that is the concept behind English systems. Na. So nung unang panahon kasi, the measurement is based on the body size of a person. Sinong person? So the person we are pertaining to is probably the king or the queen or whoever rules that state. No? So yeah. For example, I am a king. No? So I will measure everything using my feet. Hence, meron tayong feet na 10 feet, 5 feet, so on and so forth na. So yun. So literal na meaning nun is sinukat siya gamit ang paa. No? Ano pa yung mga bagay? Mga acre, yards. No? Mga isang ganito, isang pulgada daw. Ay, ano pa meaning naman talaga? Basta isang yard daw, di ba ganito? Pag nagpunta ka sa tailor. No? So yung mga ganong bagay, yung mga measurement na yon that that is based on inch by yung pulgada. Ayun. Ano yung tawag dito? Yarda, di ba? Ayan. So, yun. So, yung mga measurement na ganun, no? Yung mga base sa katawan ng tao, those are the ideas established by the English system. So, marami yan, no? Sa buong sa Europe, let's say. No? So, iba't ibang kaharian. That means, iba't ibang hari. That also means, iba't ibang uri ng measurements. Okay? So, ganun. But, if you are familiar with the Napoleonic Wars, no? Mga revolution sa France, no? May kinalaman yung system ng measurement doon. Because, to be honest, no, yung ganong process ng pagme-measure, that seems unfair for some traders, no? Kasi what if yung hari mo maliit lang, kasi maliit yung paa niya, lugi ka pag nagbenta ka, no? So, yun. Yun yung downside niya, since it is based on body appearance or body sizes. If you want to trade from France to Europe or France to England, kunwari, no? So, magkaiba sila ng sizes. So, that is not standardized, no? Hence, one of the motivation of Napoleon when he started the revolution is for the system to adopt the metric system. Okay. So, for metric system, we use meters, no? Metro, para magsukat ng mga bagay. So, by that, no, we are standardizing all measurements. No? So, yun. So, parang mag-make sense, no, na nagkagyera just because of measurements, no. That's one precursor, but yeah, that's true. So, yun ang idea. Then, after that, no, Napoleon won the war, hence we have the metric system, no. Yun, only after World War II, there was a change, no, from using the English system to the metric system as metric system becomes more acceptable for the scientific community to work with than the English system. So yun. So nangyari, yung mga bansa, nag-shift sila ng usage of measurement from English to metric, no? So ganun. Ang natirang bansa lang is the United States. They still use the English system for the reason that they don't want change, no? They're so weird, no? So yun. But yun yung idea, no? And what is the international system of units or the system international, the unites, no? So ano meaning lang nun? The SI units, no? This is just a precursor of the metric system. What it did is that it enhanced the idea of the metric system by applying science with those measurements, no? So, ang ginawa ng SI units is that they try to look sa universe kung ano yung mga pwede gawing constant. Then, ginamit nila yung constants na yon to be used as ways to measure, no? So, yun. Hence, meron tayong mga SI units, no? So, yun. So, basically, the history of measurement went from body sizes, no? Then, nagka-war. Then, nagkaroon ng standardized systems. Then, later on, even until now, no? Actually, the last update about SI units was just last year, no? Last year ata. No, so yun. So, body size, napunta sa standardized system, then napunta sa physical objects or the physical constants of the universe, no? Just to unify everything, no? Yun. So, yun yung purpose ng measurement, no? Yun yung history rather, no? Okay, so punta tayo. So, English systems of unit, yun nga. Ito yung ginagamit na lang sa United States, sa Bangladesh, and one country in Africa. So, 3 bansa na lang naman gumagamit nito. So, yun. They use pounds, miles, gallons. So, all these have historical backgrounds based on their body sizes, kung paano nila sinukat, so on and so forth. Then, we have the metric system. So, metric system naman, ito nga, ginawa nilang standardized yung measurements. And what's good is that they use the powers of 10, no? Naging decimal system na sila. Dati kasi base 12, no? Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, orasan, base 12 siya. 1 to 12, then balik sa 1. Base 12 system kasi yon. I forgot how it is called, no? Pero yun, no? From base 12 systems, For example, yung 12 inches, isang feet, no? So, yun. Isang product yun ng ganung idea. So, from base 12, nag-shift sila to base 10 on the reason that mas madali mag-divide with tens. Bakit? All you have to do is just to move the decimal place, no? Nothing more, nothing less. Urong ka lang ng decimal place, you have your answer. So, yun. So, the advantage of metric system over the English system is number one, it is standardized. We don't have to base the measurement on the ruling size, the ruling king, kung ano yung size niya. Hindi na natin kailangan gawin yun. Also, the calculations are made easier because you can interconvert one unit to another with just power of 10. Divide by 10, multiply by 100, so on and so forth. So these are the common units that we use in the metric system. Yan. So papakita lang natin. Ito naman yung mga prefixes. No? Ito na yung good thing with metric system. Wala naman ako kasi nabasa na kilopounds of force. No? Parang ang redundant. No? So yun. Instead, ang ginagawa nila no, is gumagamit sila ng millions, thousands, no, so on and so forth. But for the metric system, no, we can combine the multiplier factor and the unit, no, using Greek prefixes such as giga, mega, kilo, deci, centi, milli, micro, nano, pico, and so on. Now, you can remember that. No? Mas maganda kabisaduhin nyo siya. No? So yun, those are the symbols. So ano yung good thing again with the metric system, no? You can incorporate the multiplier with the unit itself, no? Sabihin, pwede yung idea na centimeter. Ano meaning nun? That's 1/100th of a meter. No? So, sabihin, may multiplier ka na, may unit ka pa. So, complete package, see, metric system. So, that's the idea. No? And yun, as we shift the measurement systems, and we arrive with this conversion factors. No? So, later on, we'll try to make sense of all these numbers. No? I'm just going to give you the historical background first. No? Okay. Then lastly, we have the SI system. No? So SI system is, as I said, no, ang precursor niya is the metric system. No? Ang ginawa lang ni SI system is that it established a system of units, no, that's based on scientific laws. No? If not scientific laws, edi mga scientific constants, no? So on and so forth. Hence, we have the 7 base units for the following measurements. No? If you're going to measure length, no, we use the SI unit meter. No? And saan to nakadefine ang meter? No? Ang meter, this is defined, no, as the speed of light, I mean the distance traveled by light in a fraction of a second, no? So, ang basis niyan ay light, no? So, anywhere in the universe naman, you can find light, no? May photons everywhere. So, yun. So, universal truth itong SI system natin, no? So, how about the mass, no? Before, this was based on a palladium metal, no? Palladium ba yun, no? Tinanggal na kasi nila yun, no? Mayroong prototype sa Switzerland data, no? May bola doon that exactly weighs 1 kilogram, no? But, yun nga, ang purpose kasi ng SI system is not to base on physical objects because they are prone to changes. Unlike universal constants, no? They are not, no? Kasi constant sila sa universe, no? So, for the mass, they use instead the Planck's constant, no? So they related the Planck's constant with all those variables, which is hindi ko na binasa, ang haba ng article eh. Basta yun yung idea, that's based on Planck's constant. No? So yun, ayun. And second naman, this is based on cesium-131 oscillation. No? So you have a cesium atom na nag-oscillate at certain times, no? After the oscillation daw na billions oscillation, that's equivalent to 1 second. No? Can we pwede ba natin makita yung cesium atom everywhere? Yes. No? So, anything can be found on the universe. No? Naman na. So, yun. Yung iba, those are other stuff na lang, no? But yun, ito yung tatlong examples ko sa inyo. So, ano yung purpose na point out natin dito? So, may purpose for pointing out the SI system is that SI system is based on scientific constants. No? So, these are the constants of the universe. So, hence, mas maganda siyang basis for measurements. Unlike the English system, which is based on body sizes. No? So, ganun. So, yun. So, we traveled from the old times to the present day and maraming nangyari sa measurements. We shifted from body sizes to revolution in France. Later on, nagkaroon tayo ng decimal system ng measurements, the metric system. Then later on, we established the scientific relationship of all those measurements from the universal constants. So, yan. So, medyo mahaba yung history niya. But, yeah, that's the summary, no? Okay. So, with all those systems of measurement naman, we can measure almost anything, no? For example, for length, no, all you have to do is just to measure the distance of 2 points, no? Okay. So, we can do that in SI, we can do that on metric, we can do that on English systems, no? Iba-iba lang ng unit, no? For volume, ganun din naman. For mass, ganun din naman, no? By the way, no, ang mass naman natin, this is more on the amount of matter that you have, no? For example, itong pencil na to, this contains this certain amount of atoms. Hence, the mass is equivalent to this, no? But the weight varies, no? Bakit? Ano yung difference ng mass and weight, no? So, the only difference is that yung ating weight, this is dependent on your gravitational acceleration. No? So, if you live on Earth, you will weigh more here than in the Mars or saan ba? Sa Moon, no? So, magkakaiba kasi yung gravitational constants doon, no? Therefore, iba-iba yung weight natin. So, ganun yung idea, no? So, yun. So, yun lang naman, no? So, ito yung sample calculations. Later on, may sample calculations tayo. So, I need you to have a copy of your worksheet with you kasi doon tayo mamimili ng questions, no? Okay. So, for example, if we want to distinguish weight by mass, no, we should have calculations, no. So ito, first calculation natin, given a mass of 30 kilograms, what is the weight here on Earth, no? So all you have to do is just to multiply your mass by your gravitational constant, no. For Earth, that's 9.8, no. So the weight of that object is 294 newtons or 294 kilogram meter per second square, no? What if pumunta tayo sa Mars, no? Kasi ayaw na natin sa Earth kasi ayaw ko na rin, no? So kunwari punta tayo ng Mars, kunin natin yung weight ng object na yun. So anong kailangan natin para makuha yung weight? May mass na tayo, kailangan na lang natin is the gravitational constant, no? Pwede kayo mag-participate, So, gravitational acceleration. Google muna natin, di ko kabisado eh. Ay, ito. Ginamit na rin kasi namin eh. Ay, ang galing. Paunahan tayo. So, 3.711. Sige. Okay. Attitude siya. Yung PowerPoint, no? Yung PowerPoint na ewan ko ba dito? Ay, ano nangyari? Ay, bahala siya. So, yan. So, suppose, no, punta tayo sa Mars, no? Sana nga. No? So, the gravitational acceleration sa Mars ay 3.711 meter per second square. So, if you want to solve for the weight, that is just the mass times the gravitational acceleration. So, that's 30 kilograms times 3.711 meter per second square. Solve natin. Have your calculator with you, ha? Okay, so the answer is 111.33. So 111.33 kilogram meter per second square or newtons. The question is, sino mas mabigat? I mean, saan siya mas mabigat? Sa Earth or sa Mars? Pwede kayo gumamit ng mic, ha, para mas interactive tayo. So, yan. So, mas mabigat siya sa Earth, no? Mas magaan sa Mars, no? So, ganun. So, yan. So, you can see, no? Yung weight ng object that differs depending on your planet, no? Or the celestial object that you are in, no? Ibig sabihin, mas mabigat yan lalo kapag nasa sun ka. Kasi yung sun, mataas yung gravitational acceleration niya. Lalo na sa black hole, no? Ang kwento nga is, if you happen to be near the black hole sa event horizon niya, super bigat daw sa feeling, then mawawala ka na lang, no? So, yun. Okay, so number 2, nandito naman siya sa buwan, no? Sana all may travel, no? Tayo nasa bahay pa rin. So, yun. Pag nasa moon naman daw siya, yung 45 kilograms object, no, would weigh 73.125 newtons, no. So, what if nasa Earth to? So, try natin, Earth. The gravitational acceleration is 9.8 meter per second square. So, solve natin, no. So, ano kaya yung weight niya sa Earth? So, that's 45 kilograms times 9.8 meter per second square. That's 441 newtons. So, that means the object with the same mass would weigh more on Earth than on the moon, no? So, that's why pag nakikita niyo yung mga lunar videos, no, yung mga astronauts natin, they walk on the moon, they carry heavy objects, and you can see that it's quite easy for them to carry heavy objects, no. Bakit? Kasi mas magaan, no. In a sense na magkaiba kasi yung acceleration due to gravity on those celestial objects, no. So, yeah. So, possible, no. So, yun. With an idea of this, no, pwede kayong mang-debunk ng mga flat earthers, so on and so forth, no. So, yun. So these are the measurements that we can do, and we can use them in everyday lives, no. Pwedeng length, volume, mass, weight, no, and time, no. Itong time naman, alam nyo to, no. Mas marami kayong time ngayon para alamin yung time, no. So you just have to know the conversion, no. So 1 hour, 60 minutes, 1 minute, 60 seconds, and ang kwento nito, no, bakit siya based sa 60? Kasi may kinalaman na naman siya with the base 12 system, no? Yeah, so yan. Wala lang. Weird ng history, no? So yan. Then another way of measuring stuff is based on the temperature, no? So temperature is now defined, no? Dati kasi wala siyang exact definition. But this time, we define temperature as the average kinetic energy of your atoms, no? Okay. If your atoms move fast, ano mangyayari? Mainit daw. Okay. Totoo ba yun? Yun yung question. So, I want you, no? Taas niyo yung kamay niyo sa webcam. Mas magdadasal tayo. So, for example, etong dalawang kamay ko, these are my atoms, no? So, pagbigitin ko sila, no? So, if hindi sila gumagalaw, wala akong na-feel na init. So, that means if hindi gumagalaw yung atoms, there's no visible temperature change, no? Pero pag ginalaw-galaw ko yan, umiinit yung kamay ko because of the kinetic energy, no? The same is true for atoms, no? If atoms collide with each other due to their kinetic energy, tataas yung temperature, no? They will radiate all the wasted energy in the form of heat, then the heat is convertible to temperature reading now. So, yan. So, the history of temperature scale, no, medyo masaya siya at medyo weird, no, because we have three major types of scales, no, sa temperature, no. So first we have the Fahrenheit scale. Ang gumawa niyan ay, hulaan nyo, si Fahrenheit, no. Mga tao talaga yan, no. So ano ginawa ni Fahrenheit, no? Bigyan ko kayo ng background, no. So para si Fahrenheit, for him to make a temperature scale, all he did is that, this is my temperature probe. Ito, historically, totoo daw to. Kwento din to ng prof namin, so I believe in him. So, ginawa niya, itong temperature probe niya, tinusok niya daw sa puwet ng kalabaw. Yan yung term. Tapos, chinek ko sa Wikipedia, ay ganun nga, no? Tinusok daw niya yung probe sa puwet, no, ng kalabaw. So, ano meaning nun? That Fahrenheit is based on body temperature, no? Okay, so all these numbers are based on body temperature. That's why if you have 100 degrees Fahrenheit, ibig sabihin may lagnat ka daw, no? Kasi yun yung ginawa niyang limit, no? So pag nag 100 to, may lagnat tong kalabaw na to, no? And same is true for tao, no? So yun. So for Celsius naman, no, his approach was quite different, no? Instead of tao, he used water, no? So for example, this is my temperature probe. Ito yung tubig, no? Tinusok niya yan, then he waited until ice crystals form, no? So sabi ni Celsius, no, kapag yung water, it started forming crystals that should be equivalent to a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. This is based on water naman, no? And if yung water, pag ininit mo siya, then it start bubbling, kumukulo na siya. That means, it reached the 100 degrees Celsius limit, no? So, yan. So kunwari, ito yung 0 degrees Celsius, ito yung 100 degrees Celsius. So, all he have to do is to just divide this scale, no, by a factor of 100. So, centigrade is just a fancy term for Celsius, no? Kasi pag Celsius, ay okay. Pero pag centigrade, wow, big word, no? So, they serve the same purpose naman. So, yan. Fancy term lang. So, Kelvin naman tayo, no? So, Kelvin, ito yung nasa SI unit natin, no? Maaalala nyo, no? Bakit Kelvin? Ang always ginagamit natin Celsius, why Kelvin, no? Ang Fahrenheit at Kelvin, wala na. As far as I believe, wala na talaga. Tsaka, to be honest, no, hate ko yung Fahrenheit. Kasi it just don't make sense to make a scale based on temperature ng tao. No? Water, okay pa yun. No? So, yun. So, for Kelvin naman, no, ang basis naman ni Kelvin ay more on statistical dynamics, statistical mechanics, no? Medyo big word, pero there's some chemistry, physics stuff, no, na maraming calculations. No? But the general idea is that Kelvin sees temperature as the kinetic energy of atoms. Yung definition nga niya, no? So, yun. So, according to Kelvin, if atoms are not moving at all, that means it doesn't possess any temperature. Hence, the absolute zero term, no? So, pag absolute zero, molecules or atoms are not moving. And that is the coldest possible thing possible, no? Inulit ko yung possible pala, no? So, yun yung idea, no? So, wala siyang negative Kelvin, no? Pag may nag-negative Kelvin, baka lumabas na yung no? Lumika ng langit at lupa. No? So, yun lang yung idea. Okay? So, yun lang, no? So, this is based on atoms, no? So, we have three bases for temperatures. Pinakauna is the Fahrenheit on the body temperature naman siya. So, Celsius on water changes, no? Based on temperature. And then si Kelvin, this is something more that is acceptable to physicists and chemists. So, yan yung ginamit namin as the basis for the SI unit for temperature, Kelvin. Kasi base siya sa atom. And sabi ko nga kanina, no, that the SI system is trying to make the measurement as universal as possible. No? So when we say as universal, it could be found anywhere in the universe. No? Yung water kasi, you cannot find that everywhere. No? Kasi for example, sa Earth, marami. Sa Moon, hindi pa sure, pero sabi meron daw. Sa Mars, meron daw. No? Pero sa ibang planets, wala kasi yung water. No? So, pwede na sana kung may water everywhere. No? But yun nga, walang water everywhere. So, yun. So, yung atoms na yung basis niya for the temperature. No? Okay. So, yun. If you're going to use those temperature scales, no, there should be an interconversion. No? So, that means we have to convert those units. No? So, you just have to memorize this. No? Or if you're not a fan of memorizing stuff, your calculator can do that for you. No? So, yun. Anyway, so these two are the same naman. Ito pata ito. They are derived lang, no? So, yun. So, you just have to remember that in order for you to get Fahrenheit from Celsius, you multiply it by 9 over 5, then you add 32. No? So, mas malaki yung value ng Fahrenheit. So, sa Celsius naman, you do the otherwise, no? You subtract muna yung 32 sa Fahrenheit, then you divide it by you multiply it by 5 over 9. No? So, you get the reciprocal naman this time to get the Celsius. And for Kelvin, ano yung ginagawa dyan? You just add 273.15. No? Important ba yung 0.15? For me, yan. So, nasanay eh. So, ito na pala. No? Ayun na. So, yun yung conversions natin that we can find useful, especially when we proceed with gases. No? Then maraming conversions in terms of the temperature. Okay, so ito, sample calculations lang naman. Later on tayo magsusolve talaga. No? So if you're asked to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, then you have to use this part, no? This equation. So all you have to do is just to plug in this number. Yan. You subtract 32, then you multiply it by 5 over 9. You get the degree Celsius. Okay? So, ganun. So, ganun din dito. No? Yung calculations ngayon, pakita ko lang muna. Later on, magsasolve talaga tayo. No? So, yun. We have Celsius. If you want to convert that to Fahrenheit, you just get your appropriate equation. Then you plug it here. You multiply it by 5 over 9. You add 32. You get degrees Fahrenheit. For Kelvin naman, by the way, walang degrees Kelvin. Kelvin lang. So, yun. So, for Kelvin, all you have to do is just to add 273.15. And also take note that the lowest possible temperature is 0 Kelvin. So that means that is negative 273.15 degrees Celsius. If your calculation is way lower than that, no, that's mali. No? So you have to calculate again. No? So yeah. Okay, so another calculation or measurement equations na magagamit natin is the density. No? So when we say density, that is just the amount of matter compacted in a certain volume. So, ibig sabihin gaano karaming mass or gaano karaming matter meron ka in a certain space. No? So that the formula would be mass over volume. The SI unit for this one is kilogram per cubic meter. Okay, paano naging yan yung kanyang SI unit, no? Okay, so question ko sa inyo, no? You can use our microphone para mabilis, no? So what is the SI unit for mass? Ang SI unit for mass ay kilograms, diba? So yun. So mass is kilograms. How about the volume? Sa volume, ano kaya yung SI unit doon? Kasi balikan natin, Asan yung volume dito? Sige, naisip tayo. Paano nagka-volume doon? Ba't delayed yung video ko? Okay, paano kaya nagka-volume doon? On the basis that Ano ba meaning ng volume? Nung ano kayo? Nung grade 4, alam niyo yan, no? Ano sabi? Ang volume daw ay, ano meron sa volume? Okay, naantay ko yung replies nyo. 3-dimensional na, ay malapit na tayo. 3-dimensional lang siya na space. How do we measure space? How do we measure distance? No, using meters. No, so yun. So volume is just the length cubed. No, so the SI unit for length is meter. Then all you have to do is just to cube it. No, so you get this one. So yun lang. No? But the common unit, no, the common unit that we will use later on is grams per cm cube or grams per ml. As according to calculations, 1 cm cube is equivalent to 1 ml. No? So they can be used interchangeably. Of course, if kayo gumagamit kayo ng syringe, alam nyo yan, no? Sa syringe, kunwari, nakalagay 10 ml or 10 cc. Anong meaning ng cc doon? Cubic centimeter. No? So, yan. So, yun lang naman mga bagay na kailangan natin sa buhay. So, okay, so let's start, no? So, by the way, no, when solving for density stuff, no, we can use this triangle, no? I know familiar kayo dito. Ayan na. So, how do we use this triangle, no? So, itong triangle natin, this has 3 portions: mass, density, volume, no? If you're solving for 1, I want to solve for the density, all I have to do is to divide the mass by the volume. Okay? If I want to get the volume, all I have to do is to divide mass by the density. If I want to solve for the mass, all I have to do is to multiply density times the volume. No? So we will find more of this, no, pag stoichiometry na tayo, no? More of those triangle stuff, no? Mga Illuminati stuff, no? Makikita natin yan in the future. So yan. But anyway, no, triangle talaga yung napapalakad sa mundo, no? So yan. So anyway, so let's have some problems. Number 1, ito daw yung ito yung volume, ito yung mass, hanapin mo yung density. No? Sabi sa triangle, to obtain density, that's just mass over volume. So you just plug in the mass, plug in the volume, then you get the final answer, no? Okay. So ito naman, second part, no? Mamaya magsasolve tayo. Okay. So ito naman, no? So we have 13.6 grams per ml. If the volume of liquid is 5.50, calculate the mass, no? So using yung triangle na ginamit natin to solve for mass, that's just density times volume. Okay. When doing calculations, no, check the units if they will cancel out. For this part, okay pa siya kasi parehas silang ml. No? So we can cancel these units. No? However, if hindi sila parehas ng unit, anong gagawin natin? If they are not of the same units, we are going to convert. No? So, yan. So, we will find those conversion units that I showed you earlier useful. No? So, yan. So, always we have to check if cancellation of units is necessary. If it is necessary, do we have acceptable units? No? If we have, then you can proceed. Pero if they have different units, no, mag-convert ka. So, yan. Okay, so specific gravity. Ito something na nakikita ko lang sa medtech, no? Especially kapag nagpapa-urinalysis ako. May, mag-ano ka lang medical, no? Nakikita ko dun dun sa report, no, yung urine ko, naka-express siya in terms of specific gravity. I don't know why, pero ito yung idea, no? Ano yung purpose, di ko alam, no? Siguro kayo lang ang nakakaalam nun, no? Pero ito yung idea lang with specific gravity, no? So specific gravity is similar to density, except that it is divided to the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what is the density of water at 4 degrees Celsius? That is equal to 1 gram per ml or 1 gram per cubic centimeter. So basically, what you're doing is that you are just canceling the units, no? The gram per cm cube units or the gram per ml units, no? So yeah, pag specific gravity, walang unit, no? Because the units will just cancel out, no? So yeah. Ayun na, you have to take note that it is divided to the density of water at 4 degrees, no? Which is exactly 1, and wala siyang unit. For example, we have this ethanol has a density of this. What is the specific gravity? So all you have to do is divide this by 1, no? So this is no-brainer kasi anything divided by 1 is just the same number. But they cancel, the units will cancel, no? So cancel yan, cancel yan. So magka-cancel yung units, no? Yun. So ganun din, we can do manipulations with our calculation part, no? For example, tanong dito, this is the specific gravity, what is the density? Shortcut dito is just to plug in the unit. Kasi ganun ako, tinatamad ako minsan eh. Nilalagay ko na lang yung unit, no? But if you are asked, no, how are you able to arrive with that answer? Then you have to show the equation. So this is the equation. Ang tanong dyan, what is the density of the object? No? So you have to cross-multiply this. No? Lipat mo siya doon. Hence, you have this equation. Then you plug in the numbers, 13.6 times this. You get the final answer. But the shortcut is just to plug in the units. No? So yan. Oh, mamaya na yan. So with that, no, so we have ideas on measurements na, no, we can proceed with the calculation part, no. So I hope you will participate, no, para masaya ang ating buhay, no. Okay, so let's try answering number 1 and number 20, number 1 daw. Okay, now you have your copies with you. If you don't have, take a screenshot, no. So let's try to answer this simple problem. Titanium is used in in airplane bodies because it is strong and light, no? Before kasi they use aluminum, no? Aluminium, no? Pag British siya. So yun. But the downside is heavy siya despite na mura lang siya. So yun. Mabigat kasi, so pangit yun. It has a density of 4.55 grams per cubic centimeter. If a cylinder of titanium is 7.75 centimeter long and has a mass of 153.2 grams, calculate the diameter of the cylinder given V is equals to pi r square h, no, for the cylinder. Okay, so when solving problems, no, pag magsasolve kayo ng problems, kailangan isulat ninyo yung given. So, important ba yung isulat yung given? Yes, no? Kasi later on, in your future subjects, no, you will be given a lot of numbers and not all those numbers would make sense, no? Kaya you have to write the given. Kahit matanda na kayo, kailangan nyo pa rin gawin, no? Yung gresa, no? So, yun. So, what is the given? So, sulat natin given. Density is equals to 4.55 grams per cm cube. Ano pa? The length of the cylinder being 7.75 cm. Ang mass niya ay 153.2 grams. Okay. Then the volume equation na. Ano yung hinahanap sa atin? Find. Okay, so ano yung hinahanap? Sabi dyan, calculate the diameter. Sige, tanungin ko kayo, no? Saan dyan makukuha yung diameter? Kasi di ba the equation for sa radius, no? Tama. Kasi this is the cylinder, no? Ang pangit ng cylinder ko. Teka lang. Okay. Ayan. So, yan yung cylinder natin. So, this is the radius. This is the height, no? So, yan. Okay. So, for us to get the diameter, we have to know the radius first. And that is given by the equation. So, mukhang okay naman, no? But, for you to get the radius, you should know the height, no? Given ba yung height ng cylinder? Given ba siya? Yes. In the form of the sige. Yon, length, no? Yung length, no? Yun din yung height ng cylinder, no? So, this is just the length. So, all we have to do is just to manipulate the equation to get the radius first before the diameter. Okay. So, the formula here is density equals mass over volume. Solution. Okay, so density, mass over volume, but volume is this one. So that expression. So that's D is equals to mass over pi r square height. Okay. Then, anong gagawin natin? We are going to look for the... Wala akong pen. We are going to look for the radius. No? So, ito, minsan marami nagkakamali pa rin dito. Pero okay lang yan. Okay lang magkamali, no? Hanggat hindi naman nakakamatay. Sige lang. Sige, ganun, no? So, in order to rewrite the equation, pwede naman kayo mag cross multiply na lang, no? Pero pakita ko pa rin, no? Para hindi tayo mamali-mali, no? So, we have to multiply both sides by r square just to cancel the r square and in the denominator on the other side. So, this r squared d equals mass pi h. Then what else? We have to divide both sides by the diameter just to cancel the diameter on the other side. So, we get radius square equal to mass over pi h d. Now, and eventually to get the radius, that is just the square root, no, of the quantity given, no. Okay, yun, no. So let's solve na, no. So sige, unahan nyo na ako, sulat pa. So r is equals to square root of mass, ano yung mass natin, 153.2 grams divided by pi. By the way, tip ko, when dealing with transcendentals, when I say transcendentals, those are numbers that are infinite. For example, pi, huwag nyo isulat yung 3.14 lang. No? That's a rough approximation. I will use all the numbers of the pi. So, paano yun? Alam niyo naman to sa calculator. Pakita ko lang. Wait lang. Buksan ko yung calculator. So, yan. Alam nyo naman yan dito sa calculator nyo. You can access pi. Kasi yun. Ayun. Naka-yellow siya. To access yung mga dalawa natin, press shift. Then, pindot nyo yung pi. So, andun na yung pi na dilawan. So, yun. So, yun. You make use of the whole numbers. Of the whole transcendental kasi. If you round it off, okay lang naman, pero wala lang. I still respect pi for being pi. No? So, yun. So, the height is 7.75 cm. And, ano yung density. May nalito ako na. So density is 4.55 grams per cm cube. No? Okay. Take note that units, there should be units that must cancel out. No? May mag-cancel out. Ano yon? Yung grams at yung cm. So yung cm dito na isa, dito may tatlo. So ano mangyayari? Maging square yan. No? Solving for r, ang sabi niya. Okay, round off natin to 2 decimal places muna. So that would be 1.18 cm. Okay, for others, no? Remember that yung ating unit, no? They still follow mathematical operations, no? Ibig if you take the square root of the unit, maging square root dapat yung unit, no? Okay, paano ba naging cm to, no? Okay, so paano siya naging cm? Okay, so sulat natin yung equation, no? Sulat natin yung equation but only the units are shown. So yan, so r is equals to the square root of mass, which is g, pi, wala siyang unit, height is cm, times the density, grams per cm cube, no? Yan, kailangan sila mag-cancel. So, cancel yung grams, cancel yung cm. So, ano yung natira sa atin? R is equals to square root of 1 over cm square. So, how do we deal with a fraction? In a fraction, how do we deal with denominators with fraction? Important to yun. So, yun. We take the reciprocal, no? So, in dealing with fractions in the denominator, all you have to do is to multiply the numerator by the reciprocal of the fraction in the denominator. So, ano lang meaning ko dun, no? Di ba, kunwari may a over b over c, yung a yung numerator natin, we can rewrite this as a times the reciprocal of this part, which is c over b. So the same is true for this one, so that this will become 1 times cm square over 1. Then you get the square root of cm square, that's just simply cm. So we arrive with this answer now. So yun, I believe nagsagot naman kayo for sure, no? So you can take a screenshot or kayo bahala, no? So yun. So that's for the first problem, no? Okay, so let's proceed with number 13. And by the way, nasundan naman po ba natin? Ay sige, if you have questions, go. Nasundan po ba? Or hindi, ang tanong lang na, ay, diameter nga pala. Oo nga, no? Hala, muntik na ako ma-minus na. Sige. So to get the diameter, that's just 2 radius. So diameter is 2.56 cm. 5636 pala, sorry. Mental ka pa, ha? So yan. Okay na po. So yan. So that's number 20. No? So yan. So for 13, no? Sige, let's try this. Number 13. Sabi dito sa 13, an ice cube is 2 inches on a side and weighs 1.2 times 10 raised to 2 grams. So, sulat natin dito. 13. Ang side daw ay 2 inches. Ang weight niya, o mass na lang, is 1.20 times 10 raised to 2 grams. No? Ang pasabi. What is the density of ice? No? Ganun. Question, find a density of ice. Ano yung sumunod na tinanong? Ang tanong dyan ay, what volume of water is obtained when the ice cube melts? No? Find the volume of H2O, water, density is 1 gram per ml, if ice melts. No? So, yun yung tanong. Okay, so let's make sense of all these numbers. What is the formula for density? That is mass over volume. Given na yung mass, paano makukuha yung volume? Sige. Paano natin kukunin ang volume? Cube. Okay. So remember, yung cube natin, volume, that is just the side cube, no? So that applies for ice cube, no? So meaning yan, so all we have to do is just to cube this, no? Magiging side cube siya. Okay, pero tignan natin, no? Ang mangyayari kasi, no, ang magiging unit ng mass ko would be grams. The unit of my volume would be inches. So the density will be expressed in grams per cubic inches. What is the common unit? No? The common unit is grams per cubic centimeter or grams per ml. So, anong gagawin natin sa units para mapunta sa ating conventional units? Kailangan natin mag-convert, no? So, bago tayo tumuloy dyan, let's proceed with... Okay. Discard na. Let's proceed with factor label method. No? So, okay, so factor label method, ano lang ginagawa natin dito? So this is basically deconversion. No? Conversion lang to. Tawag din dito is dimensional analysis. No? Meaning ng dimension is the units. No? So yun. So in order for you to convert one unit into the other, all we have to have is dapat meron tayong conversion factor. We should know the conversion factor for grams, inches to centimeter. No? So, kailangan alam natin. No? So, yan. So, paano ba gumagana itong system na to? No? So, to apply the factor label method, we multiply the given quantity with a conversion factor to get the desired quantity. For example, yung ating 2 inches kanina, at manipis siya. Okay? Teka. O, yung 2 inches natin kanina, no? Kunwari gusto natin siyang, ay, wala. Wait lang. Ayan. Okay. So, yung 2 inches natin kanina, gusto natin gawing centimeter. So, we should know the conversion factor. What is the conversion factor? No? So, the conversion factor is 1 inches is equivalent 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 cm. No? So, yun yung idea. Okay. So, paano natin to gagamitin sa factor label method? No? So, all you have to do is to write the given quantity, 2 inches, and you multiply it by the conversion factor. Instead of writing it this way, we're going to write it as a fraction, wherein the unit to be cancelled should be written at the bottom. No? Pwede rin sa taas, no? Kayo bahala. So, yun. So, in this case, in order to cancel the inches, kailangan nasa baba yung isang inches na. Ay, yung isang inch na. So, yan. So, yan. Nasa baba yung 1 inch, nasa taas yung kanyang equivalent. So, which is 2.54 centimeter. Ngayon, mapapansin natin that the units cancel. Then, we end up with the answer 5.08 cm. So, ganun yung mangyayari sa atin. So, you have to be very careful with your conversion factors. But this is the simplest way to do it. No? Your given quantity, no, the unit of your quantity should be cancelled by the conversion factor. Pwedeng nasa baba siya ng fraction, pwedeng nasa taas. No? Kayo bahala. No? Basta ang ending, kailangan mag-cancel yung units natin. Okay? Okay, so yun lang naman. Ito yung isang example. If you are given the pounds and you're going to convert that into kilograms, this is the conversion factor and you treat it as a fraction. Ito yung fraction. No? Pounds will cancel, then you will be left with kilograms. No? So yun. Same thing for here. No? If you do not have any direct equation or any direct conversion, you may use multiple conversion factors and that's okay. No, huwag kayong mabubulagat, no? Kasi madali lang yan. No? So yun, if walang direct conversion, then try to relate those units from one to another. For example, we have gallons to ml. Wala siyang direct. Instead, meron tayo as gallons to liters and liters to ml. Itong ml, that is just derived from the the powers of tens, no? Yung ating Greek prefixes, no? So yun, still the same principle, the units should cancel out, no? Nasa baba yung gallon to cancel the gallons, nasa baba yung liter to cancel the liters, then we arrive with the final good, no? So yun. Yun lang yung concept na kailangan ninyo matutunan, no? So yun. So balik tayo dito. Okay, so in order for the volume to be in terms of centimeter, no, kailangan ang gawin ko ay i-convert ko muna yung inches to centimeter, then i-cube ko. Pwede rin naman, no, na i-cube ko muna yung inches, then saka ko siya i-convert into centimeter. Sige, so, madali lang naman yan. So, gagawin natin, no, gagawin ko muna yung volume. So, we have two ways, A and B. Pakita natin para inclusive tayo sa lahat ng mga tao na. So, yun. That may notify dyan. So, anyway, pwede natin gawin yung side, i-convert natin to cm, then saka natin siya i-volume. No? So, that is just 2 inches times the conversion factor, 1 inch, 2.54 cm, and that's 5.08 cm. Then all you have to do is just to cube it, no? Ano yung sagot? 5.08 cube. 131.096. So, 2 decimal places muna tayo. So, 10 cm cube. Mamaya na yung rules ng scientific notation. 131. So, okay. So, pwede rin naman, no? So, nakuha ko na yung volume, no? So, pwede rin naman, kunin ko muna yung side, gawin ko siyang volume, then, saka ko siya gawing cm cube, no? So, anong gagawin ko dito? So, 2 inches, i-cube ko siya. So, 2 cube is 8 cubic inches. Then, I can convert inches cube to cm cube, no? You just have to do the conversion multiple times, no? Okay. So, if gagawin ko siya ng isang beses lang, so, is this enough? Okay na ba yan? Then, ma-convert ko na siya into cm cube. Siyempre, ang sagot ay hindi, no? Kasi, if isa lang yan, ano mangyayari? May matitirang inches squared. So, that's not enough, no? Instead, no, we can do this conversion 3 times, no? So, tinatamad ako magsulat ng 3 beses niyan. Pwede ko naman siya i-cube, no? So, 2 decimal places po tayo palagi. Later on, sabihin ko yung mga magiging rules, no? Pero for now, 2 decimal places, no? See, after the discussion on scientific notations and significant figures, no, we can dismiss the idea, no? For the reason na we will be dealing with bigger numbers in the future, especially in stoichiometry. Ako, I personally prefer 2 decimal places, no? Yan. Pero for the topic of significant figures, no, you have to follow the rules, no? Pero for now, 2 decimal places. So yun, i-cube natin yan and make sure, no, when you are using calculators, no, kasama yung kaya you're writing the equation, kasama yung numbers sa pag-cube, no. So yung pag-cube di lang siya dito sa units, yung numbers din naka-cube, no. So yun. Dami kasi nakakalimot dyan, to be honest. Even sa engineering, no, nagturo din kasi ako sa engineering. Yun, dami ring nakalimot nun. Nevertheless, you should arrive with the same answer. So yun, so to get the density, that is just, okay, yung, itong scientific notation natin, pwede natin itong gawing decimal, so that's 1.2 times 10 raised to 2, 10 raised to 2 is just 100, So all you have to do is to multiply 1.2 by 100, so that's 120 grams divided by 131.10 grams per cm cube. So the volume is 0.90. Ay, pangit ng sulat. 0.92. Ay, mali. cm cube lang pala to. Excited na excited na matapos. So this is cm cube, grams per cm cube. Okay, so as you can see, the density of ice is 0.92, and that is lower than the water, which is 1. That's why your ice floats, no? So kaya lumulutang yung yellow sa tubig kasi mas magaan siya in terms of density. So yun. Okay, pero what happens is that when your ice thaws, no, meaning natutunaw siya, no, ano nangyayari? Nag-expand yung nagko-contract yung molecules to maximize the intermolecular forces. Then, yun, maging kaisa na siya ng liquid water in terms of density. So, yung 0.92, pag natunaw yung ice, magiging 1 lang yan. No? So, yun. So, the next question kasi is, ano daw yung volume ng water if the ice melts? Okay. So, look at the equation. Density is equal to mass over volume. Alin yung nagbabago dyan? Alin yung nagbabago sa equation natin na ito? For water lang, for ice and water. Ang nagbabago ay yung volume, no? So, in return, nagbabago din yung density. Pero ano yung hindi nagbabago sa kanilang tatlo? Ang hindi nagbabago ay si mass, no? Kasi si mass is the intrinsic property of matter, no? So, kung yun na yung dami ng atoms niya, ito yung mass niya talaga, kahit anong gawin natin. So, to answer letter B, ganun na, when you're solving problems, try to make sense of all the numbers, no? Mamaya kasi kung ano-ano yung pina-plug in natin, no? Okay, so for B, if you want to solve for the volume of water, the mass is constant, no? So, yun. So, D is equals to M over V. So, para makuha natin yung volume, that is just mass over density. So, the mass is still the same, 120 grams. The density of water now is 1 gram per cm cube. And the answer is 120 ml. So, ganun lang, no? So, yung yung conversion natin, no? This is a fundamental concept, no, na kailangan ninyo matutunan, no? Kasi pagdating nyo ng analytical chemistry, wala kayong kawala sa calculations, no? So, yun. As early as now, no, try to love the idea of solving stuff, no? So, yun. So, yun lang naman, no? So, those are the two problems that we want to answer. I want you to answer numbers 15 and 16. No? So, I will give you time. No? Kayo naman yung mag-solve. So, siguro I will give you around, babalikan ko kayo by 5:50 and 7 minutes. No? Try to answer numbers 15 and 16. Hindi lahat to sasagutan na natin. Pero after the class, you can study in advance, no? para wala lang, para ma-practice, no? So, you can start answering those items, no? 15 and 16 lang. The conversion factors are here. They're already given. So, kaya nyo na yan, no? Okay. I'll check on you at 5:50. O kung may gusto magpatugtog dyan, sige lang. ayun no. So I believe nakasagot na yung iba. No? So sige. So you can still continue, no? So I will answer the two problems, no? Okay, so for number 15, this employs the idea that was given to us by Aristotle, no? Aristotle ba? Basta yung eureka moment, no? So yun. So ano yung nangyari kasi doon, no? They were having hard time finding for the volume of irregular solids, no? So ginawa niya is humiga siya sa bathtub, no? Papahinga siya, humiga siya sa bathtub. Then pansin niya, nung humiga siya sa bathtub, natapon yung water, no? Puno yung bathtub, natapon yung water. Then naisip niya is um, yung natapon kayang water that is equivalent to my volume, no? Which is true, no? So we call that process now the displacement method, no? So displacement method is a very used idea when you have irregular solids, no? So hindi lang siya pang textbook kasi kunwari geology majors kayo, gagawin nyo rin yun, no? Pero hindi kayo geology major, so hindi natin gagawin yun, no? So yun. So yung displacement method is used in solving for the volumes, no, of irregular solids, no. So yun. So for number 15, sagutan ko na lang siya dito sa gilid, no. So ano yung mga given natin? 15 given ay mass of 11.33, mass equal 11.33 grams. What else? The density of water, 1 ano yun? Water, 1 gram per ml. Ano pa? That. Ayun, so it started with 35 ml mark. Then after the irregular solid is placed, tumaas daw yung water up to 42.3 ml. So what just happened is, ito yung aking ito yung aking irregular solid. Ayan. So ito yung ating graduated cylinder with water. So ano ginawa dyan, ito tinapon niya doon. Initially this has a level of 35 ml. Tapos nung nandito na yung yung irregular solid, tumaas yung water level to 43 point, ano yun? Check ko nga, nakalimutan. 42.3. So 42.3. Okay, so the change in volume, this corresponds to the volume of the irregular solid itself. No? So what is the change in volume or delta V? That's 7.3 ml lang. No? So yun yung volume niya. So all we have to do to get the density of that material, so the density of the solid, no? That's mass over volume, so that's 11.33 grams divided by 7.3 ml, and the answer is 11.33. 1.55 na. So nakuha nyo ba yung sagot? Ayun, andyan pa ba kayo? Mamaya kumain na pala kayo, no? So anyway, yun, so that's the answer now. So yan, number 16 ba? 16. So for number 16, we have a water bed with those dimensions, no? 8 by 7 by 0.75. So dimension is 8 feet by 7 feet by 0.75 feet na. So yun yung size ng water bed. Sana all. Then the density of water is 1 gram per cm cube. How many kilograms of water are required to fill the water bed? So mayaman siya. So may water bed siya. Pinuno niya ng water. Then gaano daw karaming water in terms of kilograms yung kailangan. So, ayan yung tanong sa atin. No? Find. So, yun. Dali lang siya. No? So, density is equals to mass over volume. So, we are going to solve for the mass. So, mass is density times the volume. No? Cross multiply lang. So, the density is already given. That's 1 gram per cubic centimeter. No? So, density is 1 gram per cubic centimeter. By the way, nasanay kasi ako dito sa Greek letter, no? That Greek letter is pro, no? That's the letter that is used talaga in density. But for your textbook, ang gamit kasi is D. Nasanay kasi ako sa ro. So, yan. So, anyway, so same lang naman yan. So, mass is 1 gram per cm cube. But, look at the volume. Ano mangyayari sa volume natin? If we just multiplied all these numbers, what will happen? We will get cubic feet, diba? So, cubic feet yung masasolve natin. So, maka-cancel ba yung cm? Hindi, no? So, in order to solve for that, ano gagawin natin? We're going to convert feet into cm. So, paano? Sige, paano nyo ginawa? Ang gagawin muna natin, we convert yung feet papunta sa inches. Then, yung inches, ko-convert natin sa cm. No? So, ganun yung gagawin natin. But for this purpose, no, i-multiply ko na to as a whole. No? Multiply ko na sila para madali na yung buhay natin. 8 feet by 7 feet by 0.75 feet. That's equal to 42, no? 42 cubic feet. Then, to convert that, no, gagawin na lang natin. So, this is 42 cubic feet. No? So, apply natin yung conversion factors. 1 feet is equal to 12 inches. How many times do we have to do this conversion? Kung ano yung exponent ng ating given unit, no? So, ganun. So, gagawin natin yan 3 times. Okay? So, now the unit is inches cube. Okay? So, gagawin natin from inches to centimeter. That's 2.54, 1 inch, no? And how many times? May gain 3 times, okay? But na screenshot. Okay, so yun. Para mag-cancel yung ating mga units, no? So, yun. So, eventually, malaki yung number. So that's 42 times 12 times 2.54. Kailangan naka-cube. So, the answer is 1189307.557. Hindi ko muna i-shortcut to. Hindi ko muna siya i-round off. Okay. So, ano na gagawin natin? Meron na tayong volume in terms of cubic centimeter. Kompehin ko na lang yan. 1189307.557 cm cube. So, ayan, makikita nyo, nagka-cancel yung units. So, the mass is 1189307.557 grams. But, ang required sa atin is kilograms, no? So, we're going to convert this once again. So, we have 1,000 grams in a kilogram, or just simply move the decimal place 3 times, no? So, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so, the final answer would be 1189.307. Gawin na natin round off na. Ayan, so, this is the final answer. So, yun. Yun lang yung conversion. Be careful with conversions. No? So, yun. Sir, pwede po ba isa-send? Yes po. And since nasabi na natin yung scientific notation, doon na tayo pupunta na. Okay, so the problem with big numbers, meaning yung malalaking numbers in the sense na maraming nakalagay na number, no? Big or small numbers, is that ang dami kasing nakalagay, no? So, suppose na, kunwari, ikaw magsusulat ka, tapos nakalimutan mo yung isang zero, kunwari, hindi na yun yung number na gusto mo, di ba? So, when we handle numbers kasi, ba't may red doors niya? Ay, ayaw na naman yung mag full screen. Anyway, sige, ganyan na lang. The problem with big numbers or small numbers is that they contain a lot of zeros. Okay, so ang downside nun is when you are copying the number, pwedeng may maiwan. No? You may forget na, oh, may zero pala dito. No? So the value is changed, no? And the number will no longer make sense now because it is very different with its original number. Hence, we use the scientific notation in order to shorten the number. No? Okay, so in scientific notation, it follows this format, no, where we have n times 10 raised to n. No? Ba tayo mag-ano? Ayun. Okay, so it follows this format, no? Itong n times 10 raised to n, no? So, itong capital letter N, this is any number between 1 to 9.999, so on and so forth, no? So, it is any number between that, no? So, that means hindi pwede yung 10, hindi siya pwede. Hindi rin pwede yung 0.999. No? So, ano yung pwede lang? Any from 1 or 1.0000 something up to 9.99999, so on and so forth. No? So, yun lang yung mga possible numbers na pwede with this method. No? So, yun, capital letter N is any numbers between this range, and the small letter n will serve as the exponent. No? That will tell you how many places, how many decimal places you move from the original number in order to get this. No? Ilang beses ka umurong para makuha yung number na yan. No? So, yun. Okay, so if you move to the left of the number, that means your small letter and your exponent will be added by 1 every step, no, to the left. No? Pag to the right naman, every move you take, no, magiging minus 1 yun siya in terms of the exponent. Okay, so for example, we have this number. So 5, ay, ano nangyari? So we have this number, 568, ayun ba yan? So 568.762. So for that to be a scientific number, all we have to do is to move the decimal point here 2 places to the left. Kasi hindi pwede yung 568 because of this constraint, no? Because of this limit. Ito kasi yung sinabi, no? Hanggang dyan lang pwede. So, in order to get this number, we have to move this decimal point 2 places to the left. So, we will get this number, this n part, capital N part. And since we move 2 decimal places to the left, we have the positive 2 exponent. Consequently, if sa right side naman yung movement, magiging negative yung exponent. So, eto, hindi to pwede. Ano pwede natin gawin? We can move the decimal point for us to get this number. So, move tayo dito. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, we move 6 steps to the right in order to get this n number, no? So, 7.72, which is in the range, no? Sa required range natin. So, then okay siya. So, yan. Then, we add the exponent negative 6 because we move 6 places to the right, no, of the decimal point. No? So, yun lang yung kailangan natin i-remember. And with those stuff, no, we can do all operations as well, no, sa ating scientific notations, no. So, when we add and subtract scientific notations, all we have to do, or all we have to keep in mind is that they should have the same exponent. Okay, so they should bear the same exponent. Kung 3 to, dapat 3 yung kabila. So, ano gagawin natin pag ganun na? If they have the same exponent, then you can add those capital letter N, those integer quantities, no? Mga naulang numbers, no? So, to solve for that, that is just 7.4 plus 2.1, 9.5. Then you just copy the exponent, no? So, yun. Yun lang, simple lang siya. But if hindi sila parehas, no? If hindi parehas yung ating exponent, then we can adjust, no? Adjust one scientific notation para maging same siya with the other, no? So in this case, ang ginawa niya is that kung makikita natin, no, ni-retain yung 4, no? But we can retain the 3 as well, no? Mamaya pakita natin. So when adjusting, no, ano yung kailangan natin maalala? So when adjusting your decimal points, remember, no, na when you move to the left, positive 1 always. When you move to the right, positive 1. So for 3.9 times 10 raised to 3, para itong 3 maging 4, we just have to move the decimal point to the left, no? Kasi every step to the left is plus 1. So this becomes 0.39 times 10 raised to 4. Ayun, no? Once we have that, we can add the numbers. 4.31 plus 0.39, that's 4.70. Then we copy this integer, this exponent part. Consequently, pwede rin natin gawin yung yung 3 naman yung i-retain natin. So what if I'm going to retain 3.9 times 10 raised to 3? Will I still arrive with the same answer? Dapat lang, no? So, gagawin ko, I will adjust itong times 10 raised to 4. Remember, if I move to the right, babawasan yung exponent by a factor of 1. So, that will become 43.1 times 10 raised to 3. It's 3.9 times 10 raised to 3 pa rin. Then I can add this, no? So, 43.1, that inisip ko pa. Sagot naman is 47.0 times 10 raised to 3. But still, this is not the final answer, as sabi nga natin, this integer part, no, should be in between 1 to 9.999. So we have to move the decimal point again to the left, increasing the exponent by 1. So we will have 4.7 times 10 raised to 4. Still the same answer. So yan. So anyway, ano man gawin yung bagay, no? You should arrive with the same answer. Just be careful when moving your decimal points. No? So yan. So that's for addition and subtraction. Again, no, when adding and subtracting, you should have the same exponent. Once you have the same exponent, then you can proceed with adding those integer parts, yung capital letter N, the numbers in front. No? For multiplication and division, we don't care, no, about if they have the same exponents or not, because i-multiply yan, i-add din natin yung exponents. No? For multiplication, we multiply the integer part and we add the exponent part. No? Okay. So, ganun yung nangyayari sa atin. No? So, we multiply the integer part, 4 and 7. So, what's 4 and 7? Remember din 28, no? What is the exponent part, no? Ano mangyayari sa exponent part? So, we have negative 5 and 3. So, minus 5 plus 3, negative 2. So, we have the negative 2 there. Okay, but still, that is not the final answer because 28 to It is not within 1 to 9.9. So, we move the decimal point again to the left by 1. So, mag-add 1 tayo sa exponent. Hence, this answer, 2.8 times 10 raised to negative 1. Okay, so for division naman, still the same process. You divide your integer part, 8.5 divided by that. Hindi ko nasa slide na yung sagot eh. So, yun. Okay, but what we're going to do with the exponent is that we are going to subtract them now. So this will become 4 minus 9, which is negative 5 now. So ganun lang. So in summary, addition and subtraction, ano yung requirement? They should have the same exponent. Then you can add n1, n2, or you can subtract them. But make sure that the final answer adheres to the requirement that your integer part, your capital N part, should be between 1 and 9.999. If it is not within that range, then you have to move the decimal point again. Just like what we did sa mga examples kanina. So for multiplication and division, regardless of their exponent, you can do the operation. Pag multiplication, add exponents. Ano pa? Multiply the n. No, so multiply natin yung integer part. For division, subtract exponents. So we subtract the exponents, then divide n1 and n2. So yun yung idea natin. No? So yeah. Then we can proceed na with significant figures. No? Okay, so yun nga sabi nga natin, we have huge numbers. No? Marami tayong number masyado. Especially pag nag-stoichiometry tayo. So, not all those numbers will make sense. For example, ito, tingnan natin. Yung number na yan. So, tingin nyo, kaya yan basahin ng timbangan. Hindi lahat, no? Okay. So, not all these numbers will make sense because, yun nga, hindi siya kaya ng timbangan, let's say, no? Okay. And, hindi naman lahat, no, masyadong important to be considered, no? Or to be checked thoroughly, no? Unless siguro if you're going to Mars, then it is important. Every decimal point is important, no? Pero kung magtitimbang ka lang, hindi naman, no? Okay. So with that, no, not all numbers are significant. That means not all numbers are important, no? So yun. Okay, so what are the guidelines, no, when we are identifying significant figures, no? So we have 5 parts, no? For 5 guidelines. So number 1, all non-zero digits are significant, no? So that means any number na hindi zero, importante siya, significant siya. For example, etong number na sinulat ko, ilang significant figures yan? Yan ay 3 kasi I have 3 non-zero digits. So tatlong significant figures to. If maglagay ako ng isa pang significant figure, then 4 na sila, no? So yun. So that's the number 1 rule. Second rule, switch ko lang to, nasanay kasi ako na ito yung pangalawa parate. Okay, so if you have zeros between non-zero digits, they are significant. Okay, so for example, 101. So the zeros are between non-zero digits. Hence, we have 4 significant figures. No? Okay, so any zero between non-zero digits are significant now. So, okay, so the next rule would be on the 2 types of zero. We have trailing zero and leading zero. So we have 2 types of zeros. The trailing, meaning ng trailing is nasa dulo. When we say nasa dulo, that's on the right side of the decimal point. No? Okay, so if we say leading naman, these are the zeros on the left side of the first significant figure. No? Okay, nasa left side siya ng pinakaunang significant figure. Okay, okay, so tignan natin. So for the third rule, ito yung third rule ko. Okay, so the third rule is, ayun nga, zeros at the beginning of a number that is significant are not significant. So meaning lang nun, if you have leading zeros, no, they are not significant, no, not significant. Hindi sila importante. For example, I have 0.0000001. Ilang significant figures yan? I have one significant figure only. Because all the zero do not matter. Ang purpose lang nila is the purpose of leading zeros is just to indicate decimals, no, or just to indicate the decimal point, no. Yun lang yung purpose nila sa buhay, but hindi sila significant, no. Yun. So yun lang, you should take note of that. Okay, so how about those zeros on the right side of the significant figure, no? For example, yun nga kanina. Ayan, so the question is, ilan significant figures meron tayo? Ilan? 4. Bakit, no? So these zeros, we consider this as leading. Itong mga zero na to, these are trailing. Okay, ang sabi natin, trailing zeros are significant, no? So, zeros at the end of the decimal of a number that contains decimal point are always significant. No? Okay, so basahin natin nila. That contains decimal point. Okay, because not all trailing zeros are significant then, no? So, for this case, we have 3 significant figures for the reason that trailing zero siya, yes. And at the same time, we have this decimal point. What if walang ganyan? For example, we have this, no, 100. Pag walang decimal point, the answer is ambiguous. When we say ambiguous, we don't know, no? We're not sure because the number of significant figures depends on how you interpret the number. For example, this one, 400, no? Wala siyang decimal point, no? So that means hindi natin sure how are we going to interpret 400. It could be interpreted as this one, 4 times 10 raised to 2. 400 din naman yan, but with one significant figure. Pwede ring 4.0 times 10 raised to 2. 2 significant figures. Pwedeng ganito. Or pwede naman na 400 lang with a decimal point at the end, no? So, yun. Always, no, check nyo always yung decimal point. If present siya, then you can say na significant lahat ng trailing zeros, no? But if walang decimal point, hindi siya significant, no? Okay, so yun yung ideas natin. Buksan ko lang ilaw. Ang dilim eh. So yan. Okay, so those are the rules, no? So let's recall again, no? All non-zero digits are significant. Number 2, zeros between non-zero digits are significant. Number 3, leading zeros are not significant, no? Their purpose is just to indicate where the decimal point is. Fourth rule is that trailing zeros are significant only if they have decimal points, no? If may decimal point sa system, no? Kunwari yan. Hindi to significant. Bakit? Wala kasing tuldok, no? Pag may tuldok, significant siya. Pag wala, edi hindi, no? So, ganun nagmamatter yung decimal point, no? In cases of ambiguity, that means wala tayong decimal points, no? We can interpret the number into various ways, no? I can interpret 400 nga with 5 significant figures, no? Alright. I will express 400 in 5 significant figures. Susulat ko lang siya as 4 point. Ayan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 10 raised to 2. Diba? So, the case is ambiguous this time. So, yun. Okay, so anyway, If we can do operations with scientific notations, we can also do operations considering significant figures, no? So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, no? For, sir, what if kung for, ayan, may decimal point siya. So, nagmamatter lahat ng nasa right side, no? Kahit nasa lagpas pa siya, no? So, for 400.00, that is 5 significant figures, no? Pero kunwari, ito lang siya, 400 ml. Ayan, ambiguous yan. Lagyan mo ng tuldok, 3 significant figures yan. Importante yung tuldok, no? So, ganun na. Pero, yun nga, sabi ko nga kanina, we will apply these rules only for the purpose that we discuss this, no? On this chapter. Because later on, when we proceed with calculations on stoichiometry, gas laws, no? Masyadong maraming numbers, no? So, as much as possible, ako, ginagawa ko na ng 2 decimal places, no? Para hindi tayo magkagulo. Okay? Pero meron din kasi mga tao na mga hindi mahal na magulang. Strict sila doon. Ako kasi pag dumadami na yung numbers, iba-iba na yung interpretation ng iba't ibang tao dyan. No? So, yan. For the sake of this topic, no, we will consider significant rules. But after this, no, we can agree on the 2 decimal points na final answer. And take note, final answer. Ha? That means when you are doing calculations, if you are not yet done, huwag kayo round off. No? As is your numbers. No? Only kapag tapos na, dun lang kayo mag-round off. Just like what we did here, wala tayong ni-round off. Ayun nangyari. Ayan. So, wala tayong ni-round off. No? Kasi if we round off something, magbabago yung final answer. Only the final answer can be rounded off na. So, ayun, no. Nawala na naman. So, anyway, no. We can proceed now with the rules for significant figures. This will be the last, last kwento na lang natin muna, no. Kasi, may Thursday pa naman, no. So, tsaka para makakain na rin tayo. So, anyway. So, eto, no, these are the rules when handling significant figures. Okay, so we have 2 basic rules. No? For multiplication and division, we always express the final answer in terms of the least number of significant figures. No? Yung pinaka-onting significant figures yung final answer. So, let's consider this example. 2.8 times 4.5039, the answer is this number. Okay, so sabi natin, we will base our final answer on the least significant figures. Ilang significant figures siya? 2. So, 2 significant figures yan because the digits are non-zero, diba? Ayun. How about this one? Okay, so this one naman is 5 significant figures, no? So, between 2 and 5, sino yung mas maliit in terms of significant figures? Eh di siyempre, yung 2, no? Ayan, so no-brainer na yun. So, that means the final answer should be expressed in 2 significant figures, no? So we will start counting by at the leftmost number, no? Leftmost non-zero number. So yeah. So this is 1, this is 2. Stop tayo dyan, no? Stop tayo dyan sa 2. After that, no, you have to look on the number that is adjacent to it, yung nasa right side niya. Check if we can round it off, no? Okay, so this number is 6, no? And alam natin, since elementary, that we can round up, no? If the number on the right side of the number, no, is 5 and above, no? Hence, the final answer is 13, no? We round up because of 6, no? So, yeah. If 4 yan, edi kalimutan nyo na lang na. So yun, just disregard the 4. No? Pero pag 5 and above yan, round it up. No? So yun. So for division, no? Still the same process. This one contains 3 significant figures. This one is 5. This is their quotient. No? If you want to express the final answer, that should be in 3 significant figures. No? And sabi natin yung counting ng significant figures starts with the first non-zero digit mula sa left side. So this is 0, so hindi siya counted, counted na to. So 6 is counted, 1 is counted, this one is counted. So we stop by this part, 0.6, 0.0611. Yung number sa right side niya, that's 3, and according to our convention, we do not round it up kasi hindi siya 5. No? So, yun. So the final answer is 0.0611. So, ganun lang. So, yun. So, ano uling rules natin? When multiplying and dividing, it is always the least significant figures to be followed. How about addition and subtraction? Ito naman, this is quite weird because we are not concerned with the significant figures. However, we are more concerned on the decimal points. No? So, we follow the least decimal point. No? Diba? Ang daming rules, diba? Kaya pag nag-stoichiometry tayo, naku po, GG. No? So, yan. Kaya, for this chapter lang to. No? Mamaya magulat kayo na. Maski, ako, major ako, chemist ako. Pero, minsan, pag nakikita ko yung mga ganitong questions, sabi ko, ano ba yan? Ganyan-ganyan pa, mga matay din naman tayo, diba? So, yan. So, anyway, for addition and subtraction, the idea is hindi tayo titingin sa significant figures. Rather, we will check which of the numbers contain the least decimal place. No? So when we count decimal places, no, we start with the number on the right side of the decimal point. For example, for this number, so ito yung decimal point, bilangin natin kung ilan yung nasa right side niya. 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 decimal places now. For this one, we have 1 decimal place. No? One decimal place. So ano uli sabi natin? We follow the number with the least decimal places for addition and subtraction. Okay, so this is the sum, but we end on the first decimal point only. So we will disregard all the other numbers on the right side now. So yun. So that's why we have this 90.4 yun. Okay, so dito naman tayo, no? So for subtraction, ganun din, no? So how many decimal places do we have here? 3. Parang ako si Dora, no? Kaya rin nasagot ng answer ko question. So how many decimal places we have here? 2. Okay. So this is the final answer, no? But we end at the second decimal point, no? Or the second decimal place. Ay, ba't SF? Oo nga, no? Gutom na ako eh. Gutom na ba kayo? Mamaya. Hindi naman, sir. Wala pang luto eh. So yan. So 2 decimal points here, 2 decimal points there. Then we end up with the second decimal point, no? Because sabi natin, always the least, no? So yeah. And after that, look at the number on the right side. If that is greater than 5, then you round it up. In our case, that's true. So we round it up to 1.98, no? Okay. So those are the rules, no? Mamaya summarize natin to in total kasi sobrang daming rules, no? So the last rule concerns exact numbers, no? When we say exact numbers, tatlo yan, no? Number 1, conversion factors. Okay, so conversion factors are exact numbers. Ano naman kung ganun? So, ang meaning nun is that if the number is exact, we do not count kung anong significant figures niya, no? Kasi sabi dito, infinite yung kanyang significant figures, no? It doesn't matter kung ilang doesn't kung ilan yung SF niya, no? So, yun. So, it doesn't matter kung ilan yung significant figures because they are considered infinite, no? So, habang buhay, tuloy-tuloy yung kanyang significant figures, no? So, conversion factors, hindi natin bibilangin yung significant figures dyan, no? So, tingin tayo ng example, no? So, that means, no? Kunwari, this is my answer. Ito yung answer ko, no? Ay, hindi. Ito yung sasolve ko pala. So, ilang significant figures dapat yung final answer ko? Okay. So, ang gagawin ko dito, I will check, no, kung ilang significant figures meron yung aking given unit. So, for this case, dalawa yan. Etong part, sa tingin nyo, nagmamatter yung significant figures niya na ito isa, ito dalawa? Sagot ay hindi, no? Hindi po, kasi they are conversion factors. Same goes for this one. So, the final answer should be expressed in two significant figures. We can express this in two significant figures using scientific notation. That's 1.2 times 10 raised to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so ganyan yung operations, no? When involved si significant figures, no? So, yan. So, ganun na. When dealing with conversions, ayan na naman nangyayari. Sige, bahala na siya. So, when dealing with conversions, no, we do not count the significant figures, no, of that numbers, no, na nasa conversion factor. So, yun. So, yun, number 1, conversion factors. Number 2 is the transcendentals. Ayan, calculus, no. Transcendentals are numbers in calculus that are infinite, no. Bigay tayong example. Yung ginamit natin kanina, which is pi. Okay, so pi is a number that is infinite and continuous and irrational. Tuloy-tuloy lang siya. So, that's 3.14, 15, 926, something. So, yeah. So, kaya sabi ko sa inyo kanina, when dealing with pi, no, huwag nyo i-round off as 3.14. Kasi pag ni-round off nyo as 3.14, dun siya magiging significant. No? So, yung iba kasi yung 3.14 sa pi. No? So, yun. So, transcendentals, these are pi's. Pwede rin Euler's number, which is 2.709, something. No? So, yan. Hindi naman tayo magde-deal with this most of the time. Pero just in case lang. And the third exact number is yung mga integers lang. Mga integers lang. Wala lang. Mga 1 to 9. Okay, so usually kasi yung mga significant figures, no, ginagamit lang yan for measurements, no. Okay, so pero pag may exact numbers tayo, ano yung characteristic ng exact numbers? Wala siyang unit, no. So yung mga ganung bagay, mga walang unit, no. Yung number lang siya. Exact number yon, no. So integers yan. So we do not count the significant figures for them. For example, this one, we have 5.0 grams times 9. Okay, so 9 is an exact number kasi wala siyang unit. No? So we base our final answer on how many significant figures are there sa precursor niya. No? So yun. Okay, so yun lang naman yung ating didiscuss, no? Actually, meron pa, pero mamaya, no? So, summarize lang natin, no? Let's summarize everything. So, we can compress big numbers with scientific notations. It is composed of two parts, the integer part and the exponent part. No? For the integer part, no, it has to be any number between 1 to 9.999, so on. Okay, it should not exceed or be less than those numbers, or it should not be less than or greater than that range. Okay, so for the exponent part, no, the basis for exponent part is ano lang, on how many steps you take, no, either to the left or to the right, no, in order to get this integer part, the number part, no. So yeah, if you move to the left, positive. If you move to the right, negative, no. Okay, when you add and subtract, all you have to do is to make sure that they have the same exponents. Then if they had the same exponent, you just add those numbers or subtract them, then you copy the exponent part. Make sure that the final answer will still follow the criteria for capital letter N, the integer part. Okay. For multiplication and division, no, you don't care about those stuff. No, you're just going to combine all of them. You multiply the integer part, this and this. Then you add the exponent for multiplication. For division, you divide the integer parts. Then you subtract the exponents. No? And take note that the final answer should still conform with the criteria for capital letter N, yung integer part. Should be any numbers between 1 to 9.999, so on and so forth. Okay, so for significant figures, we have 5 rules. Number 1, all non-zeros are significant. Number 2, zeros between non-zeros are significant. Number 3, leading zeros are insignificant or not significant. Trailing zeros are significant only if they have decimal places. In lack thereof, ambiguous siya. Pag walang decimal point, ambiguous. Okay? So in order to to compensate for that ambiguity in the statement, we can use scientific notations instead, or just simply add a decimal point, no? So yeah. So rules na naman, no, in multiplication and division, we follow or we present our final answer to that of the least number of significant figures. No? Pag addition and subtraction naman, we present the final answer in terms of the number with the least decimal places. No? Exact numbers, these are numbers that have infinite numbers of or infinite significant figures. No? So we do not involve them in counting for significant figures whatsoever. No? So yeah, they involve conversion factors, transcendentals, and integers, any numbers between 1 to 9. No? So on and so forth. So yeah. So with that, now let's try to answer just some few questions here. Ayun. Sige. So for number 5, sagutan natin. We're going to express this in terms of significant scientific notation. So for letter A, all I have to do is to move the decimal point to the right, no? So move ko lang siya 1, 2, 3. So I get 4.6 times 10 raised to, sulat natin ang buo. So that is 4.6332 times 10 raised to 3 milligrams. So ganun lang. For letter B, I will move the decimal point to the right naman. So ilang steps? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4.73 times 10 raised to negative 4 liters. And for this one, I will move the decimal point to the left. No? So how many steps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1.27 times 10 raised to 5 cubic centimeter. Okay. So for number 6, no, I want you to answer that, no. Okay. So any message nyo na or sabihin nyo yung sagot, no? Kasi hindi naman lahat nakikita dito sa screen ko. So for 6A, anong sagot natin? If we're going to express that into scientific notation, what would be the answer? Okay, so for Okay, so the answer would be 4.0206 times 10 raised to 3 ml. 1, 2, 3. Ayan. Isama pa rin natin sila. No? So, ang sabi lang naman express. Ayan. So, huwag na muna natin i-round off. For B, ano kaya yung sagot? For B, ang sagot ay ano kaya sagot nyo sa B? Yan, paunahan tayo sa B. Sige, for B, the answer is the same. No? Kahit wala ka nang gawin dyan. No? Or you can use 10 raised to 0. No? So 1.006 times 10 raised to 0, or just simply 1.006 grams. No? So anything raised to 0 is 0. I mean 1. Gumawa na naman ng bagong rules. No? So anything raised to 0 is just 1. So yan. That is forgivable naman. So for letter C, the answer is letter C. Okay, so that's 1.001 times 10 raised to 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, so ganun lang. Okay, so ito, try natin 7, no? So, check natin when kailan may exact numbers, kailan wala. No? So, sabi natin, exact numbers, ito yung mga integers lang. By the way, no, yung pag-count, no, yung counting stuff, ito, isang libro, hindi siya considered as exact number. No? When you count something, 5 tomatoes, 5 carabaos, no? 5 na grade, no? So, yan. So, hindi sila exact numbers. So, tignan natin, no? So, for letter A, gumamit ba siya ng exact numbers? So, sabi dyan, you owe me 11, that, for that. They were 199 a pound, no? So, ang sagot dito ay, may exact number ba sa statement? Yes or no? Ang sagot ay yes, no? So ito, may equivalence, no? Pwede kasi itong gawin conversion factor, no? Meaning lang yan, $1.99 equals 1 pound. Eh, di ba conversion yan? Yan, conversion yan. Letter B, gumamit ba siya ng exact number? Yes din, no? Ganun din eh. 16 ounces is equal to 1 pound, no? So yun, conversion factor din yan. Pero yan, sabi ko nga sa C, na yung pag nag-count ka ng mga bagay, they are not considered exact numbers. No? So itong counting cars, hindi siya considered as exact numbers. No? Number 8, the temperature in our room is kept at 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Yun nga, ito naman, measurement to. So, hindi siya conversion factor. So, measurement siya. So, hindi siya exact number. Okay. I bought 6 eggs, 2 cookies, 5 tomatoes. Ano yung lulutuin niya? So, yun. So, ito counting na naman to. So, hindi siya gumagamit ng exact numbers. Letter C, there are 1 times 10 raised to 9 nanometers in 1 meter. Ito, conversion to, no? So, yan. Gumagamit yan na exact numbers, no? So, yan. Okay, so ganun yung idea, no? So, dito naman tayo. Let's try to answer these problems, no? Okay, so sige. For number 9, letter A, x is equals to 17.2 plus 65.18 minus 2.4. Okay, so what is the final answer? Okay, so sabi natin na pag addition and subtraction, ang tinitignan natin ay yung decimal places, di ba? Decimal places muna. So ito 1 decimal place, ito 2 decimal place, ito 1 decimal place. Ano ngayon? Our final answer should be in ano? It should be in 1 decimal place po. Ayun, so 1 decimal place, no? So, yan na. When adding and subtracting, always ang basis natin for the final answer is 1 decimal place. Sino may least decimal places, no? So, solve muna natin yan. So, na-solve ko siya, that's 79.98. Sabi natin, 1 decimal place. Putol yan. So, ano mangyayari? Round up, no? So, magiging 80.0 na yan, no? Ganun, no? Ganun na. So, ilang significant figures naman yan? So, magiging 3 significant figures yan. So, ganun muna. Ito yung technique dito. Pag addition and subtraction, ang basis muna ay decimal place. Then, saka ka mag-count ng significant figures at the end, no? So, yun. So, decimal place muna bago magbilang ng significant figures. So, yan. For letter B, anong gagawin natin dyan? Division. So, least decimal, significant figures. Least significant figures. So, itong nasa taas, ilan significant figures yan? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, this is 6 significant figures. This is 4. So, the final answer should be in 4 significant figures. Solve lang natin. Ito yung sagot. Ulit ko muna. 0, 7, 6, 1, 5, 0, 2, 9, 2, 4. Okay, so yan. Then, cut tayo sa 4th significant figure. So, this 1, 2, 3, 4. Putol dyan. Yung nasa right side ng 5 is 0. So, the final answer should be written as this, no? Ayan. So, ganun lang. Madali lang ba? Madali lang. Okay, so, ito naman letter D, no? So, let's look at letter D. This employs the idea of exact numbers. Yung number lang siya. Integer lang siya. So, ano yung exact numbers dyan? Itong 4 and 2. So, and then ibibilang yung final answer. Hindi natin ibabasa yung final answer dito sa exact numbers. Sir, paano uli malalaman kapag exact numbers? Number lang siya. Between 1 to 9. So, yun. So, that means our final answer should be ilang significant figures. Bilangin natin. So, ito, 2 significant figures yan. Ito, 2 significant figures. Ito, 4 na significant figures. Same as this one, 4 din. Ito, 2. Ang daming significant figures, di ba? Ayan, nakaka-stress, di ba? But the idea is, exact numbers, set them aside. Look at those numbers with significant figures. Yung mabibilangan mo talaga, no? So, yun. So, the final answer should be in 2 significant figures. So, hindi ko na pipindutin sa calculator. So, yun lang yung idea, no? So, yan. May question kayo? Pag may question, sabihin nyo na lang, no? Discard na. Wala pa naman po. Nasusundan naman po ba yung discussion? Sige, salamat naman, no? Ito kasi yung worry ko with online classes, no? Kasi nakatingin lang tayo sa computer. Walang interaction. So, I don't know if ano yung expressions nyo behind this camera, no? O mamaya tulog na pala kayo, no? Pero yun, I hope, no, we can still convey our ideas, no, effectively. Okay. So, for the last part, no? So, for the last part, this is just accuracy and precision. Meaning ba nito is, wala na tayong meeting sa Thursday. Meron naman, no? Pero yung Thursday meeting natin would be very, very short as we covered most of the topics already. No? Magdadagdag na lang ako ng stuff sa Thursday, maybe. Okay, so anyway, so for accuracy and precision, this just tells you on how good are you at measurements. No? Yung upload ng screen record no, after this, no, baka dito sa Convo na lang na to. Kasi yung Canvas, alam ko may limit siya eh. Kasi ito naman, nakakonect siya sa FE OneDrive kaso hindi ko rin alam kung may limit. Pero upload ko siya dito sa Convo natin sa Teams. Okay, so anyway, so accuracy and precision, no? What is accurate and what is precise? So ano ba yung idea na itong lahat? No? This just tells you on how good are you at measurements, no? Gamit na gamit to sa analytical chemistry, no? So we have two ways, no? We can have two ways of measurement kasi, no? Pwedeng dikit-dikit yung sagot natin, pero malayo sa katotohanan. Ito yung mga dikit-dikit yung sagot, pero malayo sa katotohanan. Meaning na nun, they are precise in measurements, no? Precise, close to one another, but is far from the absolute value or the true value, no? So yun. So dikit-dikit pero malayo sa katotohanan, precise yun. Pwede naman ang measurement natin dikit-dikit pero nasa katotohanan. Ito yung true value na gusto natin. We call that accurate measurements, no? Hindi lang accurate, no? Precise din, no? Accurate and precise measurements. Ito naman ay ano tawag dyan? Precise lang. Pero kapag yung inyong measurement, no, ay kalat-kalat, no? So yun, if kalat-kalat yung ating measurement, hence we have low precision and low accuracy, no? So sayang, no, kasi we cannot do experiments on this sa lab kasi nasa kanya-kanyang bahay tayo. Wala naman tayong mga timbangan at home. So yan, siguro just keep in mind the ideas, no? Kasi once we go back to school, hopefully no, magkatotoo yung prediction ng UP that there will be a noticeable decrease in cases. Mag-flatten daw yung curve by late August. August na pala ngayon. By late September or October, no? So hopefully bumaba na yung cases, no? Kasi namimiss ko na yung pagkain sa FEU. No? Maraming doon eh, masasarap na food. No? So yun. It's a Frank. Nako po, wag naman. Let's hope na lang na matapos na itong Santo Duque. Pray for us. So yun, no? So yun na lang, no? Yun lang. Just keep in mind all the information that we discussed, no? I will upload the lecture, the recording of this topic, no? Dito sa Convo muna. Then, by next meeting, we will continue on measurements, no? We'll answer some more topics. Itong mga may hirap na to. Ngayong number 10, Diyos ko. Pinapasagot ko to sa senior high school ko eh. Yung PowerPoint, naka-upload na siya sa Canvas, no? Kung makikita niya yung Canvas. Kala nyo kayo lang yung may ganyan, no? Ang pansin ko lang sa Canvas, no, para siyang coronavirus, no? So anyway, so dito sa inyong courses, no, you can check the pages. And for laboratory 1, andito yung PowerPoints, then yung videos ng experiment. You can watch that, no? Watch nyo lang kung paano gumagana yung experiment, no? So yun. Then, ayan. Pwede nyo i-download yung buong folder mismo. Ayan yung mga PowerPoints until the end of semester for laboratory and lecture. So yun, no? Most of the materials are here naman pala. So by the way, I will end ko muna yung recording. Tapos na naman tayo eh. Stop recording. Ayun na. Stop recording.